is Valley News Live at 4.
Good afternoon, everyone. We begin with breaking news. New information about the officer-involved shooting near Fort Totten that left a man dead. Here's what we know. The shooting happened yesterday on the Spirit Lake Reservation, according to a statement from the FBI. They say they were pursuing 44-year-old David Suarez when he took off in his vehicle. After the vehicle stopped, they say there was an altercation. Suarez was shot by a Bureau of Indian Affairs police officer. 3 other people were in the car but were not hurt. Here's a look at today's top 4 at 4. A teenager from Cullum, North Dakota has been sentenced to 20 years in jail after pleading guilty to sexually assaulting a young boy. 18-year-old Zachary Richardson was charged with 1 count of gross sexual imposition. The Lemoore County attorney says Richardson must first serve at least 12 years behind bars, and the remainder of his 20-year sentence can be spent on supervised probation. Court documents say Richardson's therapist said that he would sexually offend more young children if given the chance. A Thief River Falls woman is charged with a woman's death after police say she sold her drugs. 29-year-old Haley Sheridan was charged with third-degree murder and sale of a controlled substance. Court documents say last July, police found 44-year-old Melanie Fayette unresponsive at an apartment complex in Thief River. She was flown to a Fargo hospital where she died about 2 weeks later. Sheridan denied selling drugs to the victim, but investigators found text messages between the two. A teenager has pled guilty to a brutal assault in South Moorhead. 18-year-old Ashton Bellafuel is charged with second-degree attempted murder as well as 2 assault charges. Officers were sent to the 1900 block of 18th Avenue South in Moorhead back in November after multiple callers reported an ongoing disturbance in an apartment. The 2 female victims were dating. One was assaulted with a knife, screwdriver, and a stick. The other was stabbed in the eye and neck. One victim jumped off the roof of the apartment complex to escape. If convicted, Bellafuel could spend more than 50 years in prison. Police say alcohol was a factor in an early morning rollover in the Southern Valley that sent the driver to the hospital. Deputies say 20-year-old Chase Lee of Wahpeton left a road south of town just before 2 this morning and rolled in a ditch. Deputies say his injuries are not life-threatening, but his car was totaled. That wraps up today's top 4 at 4. Now here's a first look at our weather with Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Hutch.
Enjoying the blue skies on this Thursday up and down the Red River Valley as we look in on Grand Forks. Just a little bit of a wind and temperatures responding thanks to that abundant sunshine across the area. A few clouds still near central South Dakota, but other than that, it's very quiet. 54 Hallock, 52 in Grand Forks this hour with a degree better than that in Jamestown. It is 48 in Wadena where we continue to melt a little bit of snow left on the ground. Temperatures for this evening will be in the 40s for most of it. Then after sunset, we will dip into those 30s by around bedtime tonight. And in Grand Forks, likewise, beautiful conditions, light winds, and enjoyable weather does continue. However, as we look ahead into next week, we'll tell you why we have declared next Wednesday a first alert weather day. We'll keep you up to date with the latest on that and have a look at what will be a fantastic weekend of weather ahead here in just a few minutes.
All right. Thanks so much, Hutch. A man is severely burned and a firefighter is injured after a fire at an auto salvage lot in Bemidji. The fire department says it happened yesterday around 1. At one point, 50 firefighters were on scene to get that fire under control. One man has extensive burns to his arm and torso. One firefighter walked away with minor injuries. No word yet on what caused the fire, but the lot is considered a total loss. A woman is seriously hurt following a high-speed chase in the metro that ended with a crash. It happened around 2 o'clock this morning when Fargo police tried to stop a car on I-94. The car turned onto I-29 and took off. Police followed that vehicle until it wasn't safe. Eventually, the driver crashed into another vehicle on West Track Drive. Drivers from both vehicles ended up running away. A passenger in the car that the police were chasing was taken to the hospital. Fargo police are warning of a high-risk sex offender in the area. Police say 23-year-old Kilo Trayvon Bowen Davis is currently homeless. He's 5'9", 150 pounds with brown eyes and black hair. He was convicted of gross sexual imposition in May 2018. The state considers high-risk offenders the most likely to reoffend. The Cass County Sheriff's Office is asking for your help identifying a man in a truck related to an investigation. This white pickup is believed to be a 2015 to 2021 Chevy 2500 with North Dakota plates. They say it may have paper dealer plates now. If you have any information on who owns the truck pictured here, you're asked to call detectives at 701-214-5834. More than 2 million doses of the COVID vaccine have been administered in Minnesota. It took more than 2 months for the state to administer the first million doses, but it took less than 1 month to administer the next million. More than 1.3 million Minnesotans have gotten at least one dose of the vaccine. More than 764,000 are fully vaccinated. Nearly 77% of people ages 65 and older have gotten at least one dose. Clay County Public Health says they're getting more vaccine doses this week. Last week, Clay County gave out just shy of 900 shots. This week, 1,700 doses will be administered. The County Commission says even with the low COVID-19 rates in the area, you shouldn't let your guard down.
There's light at the end of the tunnel, but I think the next month or 6 weeks, particularly getting through spring break, there's going to be developments that we need to be aware of that may impact our community, especially with the college population.
More than 20% of the county has had their first shot. Nearly 11% have had both. The U.S. is averaging 2.5 million COVID vaccine shots each day. The pace has put the Biden administration within striking distance of achieving one of the president's key goals when he took office. Skylar Henry has details from the White House.
The U.S. is on the verge of reaching 100 million COVID-19 vaccine shots, weeks ahead of President Biden's goal of doing it in his first 100 days.
We are doing a good job now, up to 2 to 3 million vaccinations per day.
Testifying before a Senate panel, Dr. Anthony Fauci says the vaccine rollout is going well, but warned the virus is still spreading in the U.S.
Literally every day that goes by and more people get vaccinated, we can stay ahead of what I would consider a race between our ability to vaccinate people and the emergence of variants.
Still, there is resistance from some to getting the vaccine and wearing masks.
What study shows significant reinfection, hospitalization, and death after either natural infection or the vaccine? It doesn't exist.
You're not hearing what I'm saying about variants. We're talking about wild type versus variants.
You want people to wear a mask for another couple years.
No.
You've been vaccinated and you parade around in 2 masks for show.
The Biden administration is also making a big push to get kids back into schools for in-person learning. The CDC says it's considering shrinking social distancing guidelines in schools from 6 feet to 3.
There are now emerging studies on the question between 3 feet and 6 feet. I'm aware of several that will be released in the next several days, and we are actively looking at our guidance to update it to address that science.
You need to do it now.
The White House also announced plans to spend $10 billion on COVID screening and testing in schools. Skylar Henry, CBS News, the White House.
CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky says the 6 feet separation guideline is one of the leading reasons why some schools are still closed. To stay on top of the latest COVID vaccine-related information, use our VNL vaccine tracker. It's right on the homepage of our website, or you can open your phone camera and point it at the QR code on your screen, then tap the link that pops up. A bill is headed to North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum's desk that would help people in long-term care facilities stay in touch with their family and friends. The bill will classify email as a protected form of communication and would allow all residents to access electronic devices. This comes after the months-long halt to visitations for many long-term care residents. The celebration for St. Patrick's Day isn't over yet. A parade will happen this weekend in downtown Fargo. It'll start on NP Avenue at 4th Street downtown at 11 Saturday morning and travel up Broadway north. This weekend will be the 24th year for the parade, and some business owners say it's the most important.
Being a small business is hard anytime. It's been especially hard this past year. So we're hoping if we can get people to interact with downtown Fargo again, we can start seeing that foot traffic and our small businesses can start to thrive again.
There's also still time for kids to enter the annual St. Patrick's Coloring Contest. Just print off the coloring sheet at downtownfargo.com, then post a picture of your child's work of art on the Downtown Fargo Coloring Contest Facebook page. The picture that has the most likes by next Tuesday, March 23rd, will receive a prize. The Red River Zoo is excited to welcome its newest resident that you might see rolling through town. Her name is Fancy, and she was rescued from Georgia. The executive director at the zoo says Fancy has a spinal cord injury and wouldn't survive in the wild. The zoo wanted to give Fancy her mobility back, so they created an opossum-friendly wheelchair for her to scoot around. She's now part of the zoo's outreach program, where animals are brought to schools to teach children about nature.
This is where I sit every day.
Straight ahead on Valley News Live at 4, the amazing story of an Alabama woman and the way she braved yesterday's string of tornadoes.
And some awesome weather for us across the valley. Sunshine aplenty and a lot of 50s out there. Could we see 60s? Yes, but some changes in store in the extended forecast. I'll have details on a first alert weather day we've declared for next week right after this.